Hey everyone, and welcome to Impctrs Out Loud with your host, Tracy D. Allen. Today we have Chandrika Phea with us, and she is an ordained reverend, and she is an outdoor enthusiast. She works in the Georgia Public School as a professional and partners with W Brand Publishing for the release of her debut bestseller, award-winning 2 times Next Generation Indie Book Award finalist, Writer's Digest honorable mention book, and the book is called Lord, I Don't Want to Die a Christian. That's an interesting title. So we're going to talk about that, right? In 2005, she graduated Beacon University with a Bachelor's of Arts in Biblical Studies, then went on to complete 2 years of teaching and mission assignment in China that ultimately revolutionized her life. For fun, Chandrika initiates local outdoor events, bikes, breakfast, and Black girls, providing her communities, Black women, safe and trustworthy outdoor experiences. And we all need to get outside a little bit more. Okay. She offers of herself water contained, creates resistance. 60%. Okay, you have to explain that part to me. You have to explain that part to me. Okay, so welcome, Chandrika.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the introduction. I like to swim, and
okay.
I like to swim. And one day I was in the pool, and I had come to understand that swimming is also a form of resistance as it relates to working out. So you need resistance. You know, they always say you can't just do cardio. You also need resistance workouts. Well, I come to understand swimming as a resistance workout because of you pushing against or using the water to pull yourself, forward.
Right.
And so one day I just kind of asked God, why does this water create resistance? And the answer was because the water is contained. So, what I took from that revelation was, if you contain me, I create resistance. And one who has, and mind you, we all are a certain amount of water. So that's why I said the 60%. So if you ever are put in a position where you are being told you're resistant or you're obstinate all the time, or you always that, you never want to concede, or et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not talking about, being apologetic for being wrong or things like that, but always one who thinks outside the box or colors outside the lines. It's because, it made sense to me. I'm 60% water. I wasn't made to be contained.
Right.
But if you contain me, then I create resistance.
All right. That's powerful. I love it. So let's talk about your bikes, breakfast, and Black girls. How did you get into that? I know you said that you're an outdoor enthusiast. So tell me why you decided to create this particular group, and what do you do, and how does it impact your community?
So what I do is I started the event because I was teaching a sister of mine, who a fellow cyclist, how to use her professional, if you will, pedals. What I mean by professional, not the traditional pedal. So it's called a clip-in, and you use a cyclist shoe and a cyclist cleat. And I was teaching her how to use that, and she mastered it very early in us meeting to learn this. So because she mastered it so quickly, I said, well, shoot, let's go ride. Let's go ride and test it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. We rode to our downtown area where there was a new hotel. And I looked at the hotel and I said out loud, we should ride down here and do breakfast one time.
Mm-hmm.
Bikes and breakfast. Hey, I like that, And so then it was a matter of who was I going to offer that opportunity to. I was already a part of Black Girls Run, where we would do other things than just run. So I thought, let's add this to it. And I created Bikes. Well, I added that to the opportunity, or Bikes, Black Girls Run. When we did it, we came together and actually did it. I realized it was something we needed.
Okay.
So then I solidified it, Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls. And it is a coveted space, very coveted space. I'm very protective over it from men and anybody who is not a Black woman.
Okay.
I'm not, looking, I've been reached out about a woman of color, which I really appreciate. Mm-hmm. But as a woman who is a resource as it relates to cyclists in this city, and I can point other people of color to other options. So I'm trying to be a bridge where there is diversity. But as it relates to Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls, mm-hmm. It is literally something that feeds us the opportunity to gather, to move, and connect at the table. It's an amazing experience.
Okay. How many people do you have in the group, and how often do you meet?
Right now, we meet every other month on the last Saturday of the month. This month, we're going to use Juneteenth to connect.
Okay.
And it's open to the public. The title itself says, only Black women should come. Mm-hmm. So the title and the logo. So it's open to the public, and I leave it open for anyone who is a novice, who's brand new mm-hmm. at cycling, up to the best experience, So it is a very chill ride. We don't race. We don't leave anyone. We talk, we laugh. My favorite part is to hear the laughter. So I'm always out front because I've scouted out the route for wherever we're going to go have breakfast.
Prior, so right.
My job is to make sure I lead well, be observant, make sure we are taking safe routes, not crossing streets and things like that, or obstructing paths on the way to where we're going. Mm-hmm. So all I really get to do is just listen. I don't get to have a lot of conversation.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, I don't. I just love to hear the laughter. Women just being girls, as much as we are women, I think sometimes we want to be or need to be just girls without the title that comes with responsibility. Calling ourselves women does come with responsibility. You can't
Absolutely.
be a woman.
I always say adulting is not as easy as most people think it is.
Right. So what we want is to just be able to put down being a mother for a few hours, being a wife for a few hours, being a girlfriend, being a professional, being a student, and just be a Black girl. That's it.
I get it 100%. I have those moments. I'll watch some cartoon. I'll just go back to Saturday cartoons and remember, like, when I was a kid, and you wake up and you want to watch Scooby-Doo or whatever. Sometimes you just need to unadult for a moment, right?
Yes. And so to be able to do that in the outdoor space, do that while we move, do that while we get vitamin D, do that while we we're getting our heart rates up, burning calories. We go to the restaurant, order our food, sit down and eat and connect. All of those different dynamics and aspects of it is literally amazing. There is to me, in my opinion, no experience is the next. They are all different. I have a different memory of every time we meet.
Okay, because you have a different set mostly of people coming. I mean, you'll still probably have your staple.
I never know who. We have Staples, but I never know who's coming.
Who's coming? Okay.
And I have who I call two resident photographers. And our first ride this year, they didn't come, so that changed the dynamic. So I'm too busy doing other things to make sure we get there safe, so I can't take the pictures. I just can't do it. But I love that they are there. They take pictures and videos, so I really appreciate their presence. But we ended up doing it around the same weekend of the last holiday, Memorial Day. So our little group was very small, nonetheless enjoyable.
Are you guys going to the same restaurant on a bi-monthly basis?
Absolutely not. Why would I do that?
I don't know.
Lord. Yeah. No, we explore. As long as we can get to it safely, I want to try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you choosing Black-owned restaurants, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. There are not enough Black-owned restaurants. In my city.
Got you.
We're going on 3 years. So there is a Black-owned restaurant I want to try this year. I wanted to try last year, but I don't know what happened. Nonetheless, there is one for sure that we can get to safely. That's always the first priority.
Okay.
So it could be a Black-owned restaurant in the city, but if we can't get to it safely, and if they don't serve breakfast, we aren't going there.
Okay. Are you incorporating any aspects of your ministry in the breakfast component? Because I guess that's when you guys have the most time to commune and talk and get to know each other. Are you infusing any of your ministry into that?
I think the entire opportunity is ministry. So it's not something I have to introduce or slip in. I think if we let me speak for myself. My standard is to live my ministry.
Okay.
So
I understand.
No matter where I go, my standard is to live my ministry. So that always shows up anywhere I go. And it's just in my ministry is simply just to love people. That's it.
Okay.
I'm not looking to sell anybody on anything. I don't care if a Muslim woman comes. I don't care if it does not matter. Catholic, it doesn't, whoever. We don't even talk about religion.
Okay.
That I know. We just, whatever organic conversation comes up, I love it. Okay. Movies. We talk about, I remember one of the last times we talked about movies and preferences on movies and what's the best one out, and just the laughter around any subject we talk about is my favorite.
Gotcha. In your bio, you mentioned that you took a mission trip to China and it ultimately revolutionized your life. Tell us about
that. Excuse me. I went to China as a licensed minister. When I came back, I was ordained reverend. I left Georgia as a worship leader, as the minister of outreach. I had been the music and arts director in my hometown, Oklahoma City. So many different things about my life. Really, if I could say, all things about my life was all church contribution. I get to China and there's no church. and I say that for impact, but it's not actually factual. There are churches in China, but they are controlled by the Chinese government.
Okay.
Regardless to that, whether it was controlled or not, it wouldn't be the kind of church that I could necessarily participate in the way I participated and contributed to Black church, particularly in the States. So what was I supposed? Who am I now? What am I doing? Because now my license as a minister, what is it? Now the roles that I played as a worship leader, what is it? All these things that gave me identity, now I don't have them. I'm not in those roles. And it really forced me to figure out who I am without all of those roles. I was watching Celine Dion's interview the other day with Coda. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she said something very powerful, Celine, and that was, she is Celine Dion. For a while, she said she didn't even want to hear her name because she couldn't use her voice. She had, her voice was her identity. The gift was her identity, and then she didn't have the gift. So now, who are you without the gift?
Right.
So now that the gift is back, now she's saying, I am Celine Dion. And I'm Celine Dion with or without the gift. I know who that is now. And now I will use the gift because I want to, not because I feel like I have to.
Have to, yes.
And so it was the same experience of, who am I without the gift? Without the opportunity to use the gift, without all of these positions, who am I? And it just made me, I went through this 2-year journey of trying to figure out how to exist in China, not being the expression of Christianity I always knew. And that is what changed my life.
Okay.
People ask me all the time, well, what happened in China that made you decide that you didn't want to die a Christian? I said, it's what didn't happen in China. It's not what happened. It was the lack of access to
the traditional church.
Yeah, the traditional church, the expression of Christianity, particularly, like I said, in the Black genre of Christianity. It was a lack of all of that. And it's just like, what do I do with myself? How do I show what I believe now?
And what did you come up? What conclusion did you come up with?
Well, it wasn't until I got back that I realized, because I ran a Bible study for 2 years. Interesting. What I realized when I got back, and it took me coming back to hear and participate in church again, it made me ask the question, if I didn't teach my students this, what did I teach them? If I didn't teach them communion and tithing and all of these formalities and traditions, if I didn't teach them those things, what did I teach them? And the response back to me was, you taught them love.
Got you.
Even through Bible study? Yes, just by showing up consistently every week. And we didn't just do Bible study. I took my students to the fair. We went go-kart riding. We went to have dinner all the time. We did so many different things. I just loved them. And so that's when I realized that's what I want to do. I just want to love God and love people.
So it kind of goes right back into Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls, communing with other people and having them just live in a space for a moment that is not their normal lives, and connecting with their childlike, that childlike person inside. So it kind of came full circle, right? Yeah. Okay. I love it. So that's when you wrote, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. And that was in 2000. Did you write that book in 2005? No, you graduated in 2005.
It was published 2000. What's this? This is 24?
2000. 20, yeah, today is 24.
It was published 2021.
2021. Oh, during the pandemic. Okay.
Yes. So the thing is, the subtitle is My Journey and Journal to Freedom. Okay. So I started writing the book after I got back from China.
Okay.
The title in it of itself was inspired by feeling claustrophobic in church. I've been going 2 years. I've had this very open, wide, curious experience, and I come back to everything being the same. Same people, week after week, same doctrine, same language, everything is the same. And I'm feeling claustrophobic. That's what pushed me to go get a bike and start riding.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would go riding before church and then go to church with my riding stuff on As long as I was there and covered up, I didn't care.
Right.
But I had been outdoors. I had been in a space that was more expanded, that didn't have any boundaries. It didn't have any limitations outdoors. So between that experience of feeling claustrophobic was the experience of watching our white evangelical brothers and sisters openly, boldly express their disdain for having a Black president. It was those two realities. I'm watching CNN and I'm watching a pastor allow his grandson into the pulpit to sing a racist song about having a Black president.
Oh.
I turned the television off to start cleaning up my apartment. I couldn't take it anymore. I walked over to the door to pick up some shoes that I'd taken off at the door. When I bent down to pick them up, I stood back up and literally uttered out of my mouth or my spirit, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. I was like, wait a minute, what did I just say? You know, it shocked me. And my next thought was, that's a book. And my next thought was, I never intended to write a book. So I just began to pray about what this book is supposed to be. And it just became a journey of revisiting what Christianity taught me about God, about people, about the world.
Okay. You mentioned that when you were in China, that they didn't have any churches, but then you prefaced by saying that the government controlled the churches. So when you were there, were you able to preach in any way? And if so, was it open spaces, people's homes, or was it in the church itself?
It was actually in the church that I got to share, which is a whole nother conversation, because I was with an organization led by men, all men, who did not believe in women sharing in the pulpit. The contradiction is they did believe in us female teachers sharing in private with our students after we gathered with our students. So we would gather on Sundays with our students. A male teacher would present. Let's call it presenting, not preaching. A male teacher would present. And then they would encourage the students to talk to us privately, their teachers privately, if they had any questions about what they heard.
Oh, okay.
So many of us
That's
were
a little different.
Right. That's how we had to do it there. That's how we were allowed to, they couldn't have an altar call. That was controlled. Like there was no give your life to Jesus. Would you like to have a relationship with God? There was presenting a message. If you had questions about the message, you connect with your teacher, and the teacher
would further explanation.
Yes. And in that setting, we could do things like, what do you want? Do you want to give your life to Jesus? All those things. So that was too much of a dichotomy. Like, how is it that we can manage, if you will, or lead students in that way privately, but not do it publicly?
Right.
And I found myself challenging this group of men.
Okay.
And I sat down with them. I explained all of the contradictions and how it could perhaps impact the female students and the male students. We're talking about college students, and they had to consider or reconsider their positions. And so they did open the door for women to share. And
that's amazing.
That's how I ended up sharing. We got some pushback, but and we got some pushback, and I think they wanted to handle it themselves in the sense of covering me, but I came out publicly and said, I'm the one who asked or who challenged the lack of opportunity for women in that space. And so if you want to have a conversation with me, let's do it. And that never happened.
Okay. I truly enjoy getting to know a lot about you and your movement, Bikers Breakfast and Black Women. I don't think we said where you are. Where exactly are you if people want to participate in
So
this event?
if you want to participate in Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls,
Mm-hmm.
we are in Columbus, Georgia.
Okay.
And you can come over from Alabama. You can come down from Atlanta. You can come down from, a lot of different places, a lot of different
Mhm.
areas. Where Columbus is right on the Chattahoochee River. So
Mhm.
we're right across the river from Alabama. So if you're
Oh,
in
okay.
Alabama, close by Phoenix City,
Mhm.
Birmingham, Montgomery, come by, come through. Just if you're just in town, visiting,
Okay.
hit
And I will
us up.
have all of her information. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
Yes,
mean to cut you off.
I'm
I will
sorry.
have
No,
all
I'm
the information down in the description so that you can
yes.
get in touch with her. Like like Chandrika said, her next event is going to be on Juneteenth. Do you know when the other one is going to be after that?
So it is not my event. We are taking the opportunity, though.
Oh,
Our
okay.
city is celebrating Juneteenth, so we're going to
Hmm.
gather for Juneteenth and ride.
Okay.
Our next Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls is in July. It'll be the
In
last
July.
Saturday in July.
The
Yes.
last Saturday in July. Okay, awesome. All right. So, Chandrika, tell us what makes you an impactor?
Oh man. Uh, what makes me an impactor is ignoring the or I'll say it this way: being unintentional, focusing less on making an impact and more on just being,
Okay.
and letting the just being part of me make the impact.
All right. I respect that. If you wanted to leave 3 thoughts with our audience on how to start a movement like you did that impacts the community just for being, right? Because you're not,
Mhm.
it's not formal. It's just, hey, let's get together and do
Yeah.
something together as a collective. What are
Yeah.
the 3 tips that you would give to someone who wanted to do something like this?
Start,
Start.
show up, start, show up, and complete.
All right. I love it.
And
Those
be
simple.
very simple. Start,
Mhm.
show up, and complete. And by show up, I don't mean just show up, show up to do what you started, but
Mhm.
really show up with all of who you are. When we gather normally, my greeting is, "Hey, Black girl," and then everybody says, "Hey, yeah, you." So really showing up as ourselves, and being bold about, uh, traversing, if you will, through the city as a
Mhm.
group.
Mhm.
You have no idea how often we are stopped, because not only did we showed up. So start, show up, and complete, and find joy in completing.
Awesome. Thank you, Chandrika, so much for joining us today for Impactors Out Loud. I really appreciated you being here and learning about you and your movement. It's called, again, for those of you who may have missed it, I don't know how, but Bikes, Breakfast, and Black Girls. And again, I will have all of her information below. You should also get her book, Lord, I Don't Want to Die a Christian. I think it's going to be an interesting read, and that information will also be linked in the description of this podcast. Thank you again for joining us. Until next time, bye bye.